Hey everybody, this is Russ. I'm your DC guy here at comicbook.com. We are at New York Comic Con at the DC booth for our final DC interview of the weekend with Mr. Steve Orlando. Steve is the critically acclaimed writer of Midnighter, and now he's moving on to Midnighter and Apollo, which starts this week, and soon JLA.
Supergirl.
Oh,
Don't forget Supergirl.
Supergirl, which is actually the one that I read the most aggressively. So.
All right.
But I guess we'll jump right in with Midnighter and Apollo. How, on the cover, you have the joke. How gratifying was it? Did you know right away when the book got canceled that you were coming back with Apollo added in the miniseries, or was that later?
No, we had a pretty good idea because we'd seen that there was an incredible amount of support for the collected edition, and what that shows is the audience is out there. The audience is making itself known in new and different ways. And so, yeah, we knew very soon after that it was time to reward them for their support and come back and do a little more.
Now, you mentioned Supergirl. One of the interesting things I think about the Rebirth Initiative is the way that it's taking kind of the iconography of the TV and movie stuff and twisting it in a way where the TV and movies isn't driving story, it's just kind of driving familiarity. Are you having fun kind of playing with some of that element and the idea that, like, you're speaking to potentially a much broader audience?
Well, I am, and I think that, look, from the start, I would say we lead with the comics, because we have to. If you offer a book that only does what can be done on television with a budget, well, you're not giving people enough, to be frank, because comics have an obligation to be bigger and more exciting because we're only limited by what can be drawn on the page. So we take the things that can boost up the characters. In the case of Supergirl, it's moving International City, and yeah, we can welcome in viewers from the show, but it's more about the fact that we want her to form her own legacy in her own world. I say all the time that in my mind, even if Superman never came to Earth, even if Clark Kent never was raised on Earth, Supergirl, Kara would still be Supergirl because of her own experiences. She's not dependent on Superman. And so part of that for me is to very obviously move her out of Metropolis, move her out of that area and that world and those faces, and give her a place where she can act on her own. At the same time, of course, we are bringing some other things. You see Cat Grant is coming to National City, and honestly, that is very fun for me. I mean, she's one of my favorite characters to write, and I like her point of view. All her character before was very different, but it's all part of the same character. This is someone who used her pop culture personality, her sort of TMZ personality, to amass a cultural cachet, to amass cultural capital. As she says in one of the upcoming issues, she spent a long time seeing the world at its worst. Now she's going to do what she can to make it its best. And so it's all her, because you have to amass power in the world, and then you've got to find a good way to use it. So I'm excited about her because I think people think that she's changed a lot, but honestly, I think her point of view has never changed. It's just about taking the steps to get there. So Cat goes her way to actualize all the work she did at the Daily Planet, or in Metropolis, I should say, and turn all that sort of muddy, celebrity, gossipy world, turn all those connections she got into something good. So it's very exciting to me.
At the risk of making our good publicist friend blanch a little bit, is it almost kind of like the anti-Donald Trump in the sense that it's like you're using your celebrity and all of the kind of visibility and the fact that people consider you to be kind of a non-threatening, non-whatever to affect cultural change?
Maybe. I mean, I don't know if some people would certainly be threatened by Cat because she's an immensely powerful, immensely confident woman, and there's whole groups of people, including the Orange One, that would be extremely intimidated by that. So in some ways, yes, but I think it's about we all want to do as much as we can, and she can do a lot more because of the world she lives in and the place she's worked to attain, and it's time for her to do that.
Now, obviously, we got to talk about JLA. We've started to see that the roster take shape a little bit. How keyed in have you been with the Justice League Suicide Squad? And have you been the guy who was on JLA since it was supposed to be part of Wave 1, or did you come in later?
I've been very keyed into Justice League Suicide Squad. I mean, I talk to Josh Williamson all the time. We've known each other for 10 years, actually. So it's a good moment for us to be here. We had to actually talk about it's a little weird, right? Like 10 years ago, we were sitting at like a White Castle, like sharing the same tiny slider, and now we're like sitting here sharing the DC booth. So it's a surreal moment. But I've been very involved. I mean, we were there planning it out. We were there making sure everything locks together. I mean, to be clear, like Justice League Suicide Squad will lead into JLA, and it's an immense moment for the characters in it, as you see how it plays out. But JLA, Justice League of America, is it's even bigger, you know, and it has to be. You know, it's a team that's bringing heroism to places that never thought they would find it, never thought that heroism would come for them or that hope would come for them. So I'm talking to Josh a lot to make sure that we're on the same page and we're setting each other up very nicely. But at the same time, look, it is very much his story, and I want it to be. And likewise, you know, once we kick off Justice League of America, we're going places you guys will almost definitely never expect.
Now, how much do I have to pay you to get Kate Spencer on the team?
A lot, but they might need a lawyer someday. So, you know, actually, it makes a lot of sense on some of the things that are coming up in the first 24 issues.
Kind of a big picture question. The first time we spoke, it was about Undertow. And I remember, like, you were at shows at a tiny booth hand selling that book because nobody had heard of it. And it was like one of those, I remember your pitch to me was, like, just look at the book, open it, forget all about me. The art's gorgeous. How gratifying is it that, like, 3 to 5 years later, like, you're in this place right now where, like, everybody's like, where the hell did that guy come from?
Well, you know, it's gratifying, but I should say I still owe a lot to all of my collaborators. You know, I wouldn't be here without Artyom. We're actually, you know, it's funny because next week, it has been that long, but next week we're working together again in the American Vampire Anthology, which I couldn't have been more happy about, man. It's his best work he's ever done. So yeah, I mean, it took me 17 years to break into comics, which at the time was, well, it's still more than half my life. So of course it's gratifying, but it goes without saying, like, I owe this not just to myself. I owe it to Artyom. I owe it to ACO, who I wouldn't be here without on Midnighter. And, you know, Justice League of America wouldn't exist without Ivan. None of us get here on our own. So the real statement I think about that is that, like, coming up and reading the comics, you're really standing on a web of people that have helped you get there, and you got to remember that. I will always remember that.
Now, one last thing. I know you got to run. If you have one, what's kind of the mission statement for your JLA?
Well, I actually kind of already hinted at it. You know, I mean, besides the fact that this is a Justice League of America that actually looks like America, because, you know, the face of America is changing or has already changed. You know, bad news for the people who missed the boat, but it's a team, but because of that, it leads to the mission statement. These are heroes that have had different life experiences and understand that some people think truly, you know, that they haven't been visible, that they haven't been noticed. And this is about bringing justice. It's about bringing heroism. It's about bringing hope to all the corners of the DC universe that you haven't seen in a long time, to all the corners of the DC universe that maybe thought that heroes were something that we're only going to see on television, but not anymore.
Thanks so much. I always enjoy talking to you.